Hi, Sarah. Thank you for joining me again on LinkedIn Live. I can't believe it's already 3 months since our last one back in January when we were talking about the market, and now here we are, um, ready to continue into quarter two.
Yeah, and I think it's certainly been an interesting few months. Everything going on in the world at the moment, it's been impossible to ignore the global events. I mean, they're starting to
Mhm.
shape the broader business landscape, and there's just been a lot happening. The geopolitical tensions, market fluctuations, and naturally, I think we expected this to cause some hesitation. And I think we did see this for a week or two, maybe,
Mhm.
while people assessed their hiring plans, thought about, I don't know, maybe is this the right move for them at the time? But while we only saw this for a week or two, then it's been striking how resilient the market has actually remained overall.
Yep.
And I think the activity has continued at a steady pace for the most part. Hiring momentum has been largely, apart from the first kind of little pause, largely unaffected. And I just think we need to see how that goes and how that continues to shape the market in the next few months.
Yeah, agree. And we just keep an eye on how things are going. There seems to be updates on a daily basis. We know how quickly things can change, but it's just keeping an eye on things. But I think one of the key things in this kind of market is that it obviously changes how people do recruit, and rather than necessarily going down a permanent role recruitment, a lot of clients might start looking more at temporary or temp to perm options. And I know that that's something that you've seen a little bit, but also on the employer of record service. Are you finding that that's happening with you?
Yeah, that's definitely kept me busy over the last couple of months. So just to separate those two, the temp to perm, I've seen a lot of companies within Switzerland in particular, so Zurich, really coming to me and asking if I can offer that option, which of course I
Mhm.
can because that's the area I support. And the benefit for them is it allows them that time and that flexibility whilst potentially the world is changing a little bit. There's a lot going on and gives them that flexibility to kind of take their time over the hire.
Yeah.
There's more flexibility naturally with a temporary employee. Um, the other side is the employer of record, which is
Mhm.
really exciting, and that's really taken off in Switzerland. So I have a company that I'm supporting in Geneva, in Zug, and various ones within Zurich also. But another kind of string to our bow is that we've recently started supporting people in Germany as well. So
Yeah.
I partnered early kind of December with our Tiger People company sister brand, and we've been trying to get the AUG license sorted, trying to kind of move in that direction, and we were very happy to say that we got that in December. Um,
Congratulations. Yep.
and yeah, so and then on that kind of front to support this, it was really important that I had a good understanding of German employment law. So I've just completed the course on German employment law, and it's just really exciting to see where that's going to go in the next quarter.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and such an exciting thing, market to be going into, and something new for you, and very exciting times. Okay, and I think the other thing that has happened since our last LinkedIn Live was that we had our most recent roundtable event, and it's the event where we invite about 10 senior HR leaders to discuss different topics. This time we were talking about the importance of employer branding and the role it plays in attracting employees. And I found the whole thing really interesting. I thought it was a topic I didn't know very much about, but then you just realize as you talk through the different points, it is so much part of our everyday role when we're understanding a company's branding, its culture, how it works, and all of those things that give people the impression of that business as an employer. And I guess I just never really given it that specific title.
Yeah, I agree actually. And the great thing about the discussion was that we heard from so many different industries. We had different industries,
Mm,
but we also had different size of companies. So
yeah.
we had well-known corporates, SMEs, entrepreneurial companies. We had some fintechs. This made the discussion very
Yeah.
varied and actually really engaging, and gave so many different insights into that kind of topic. One interesting fact that came up that stuck in my mind that was that 50% of people, when they're about to accept an offer, will check what are the reviews of this company, and could make a decision, and probably most likely will make a decision based on that. And I thought that was really interesting, and just highlighted how important being aware, even if you're too small to really focus on a project for it, just being aware of the way your brand is kind of perceived outside of your company is very important.
Yeah, and what's available for people to see. And there was also a really good balance, I thought, of both tangible and intangible points that were coming up on what a business can do. For example, when we were focusing on what makes a company a great place to work, the first things that came up when people would just kind of their immediate thoughts were things like honesty, integrity, transparency, security. All of these mean completely different things to different people. They can't be measured, but ultimately, you know, during the recruitment process whether these will align with your values and your way of thinking. But then on a more tangible basis, the points that came up were things such as efficient recruitment processes or good onboarding, strong leadership, clear communication, fair salaries, and well thought out benefits. So it was just interesting to see how those different things like combined in the discussion.
I think what made it really interesting for me was that all of those things that you've just mentioned, we had such, like I said, such a huge variety of clients there. We had industries, like huge companies, smaller companies, but those themes that you've just mentioned, they were there throughout, and I found that kind of a really interesting part of the discussion.
Yeah, and as we came towards the end of the discussion, and one of the questions I was asking the attendees is what they felt was the absolute minimum that an employer needed to get right. One of the attendees very quickly said that there were two things that a business has to offer, and the first is a fair salary package based on the role, the market, the person, experience, etc. And secondly, a secure environment to work in. And she kind of qualified that the term secure by backing up very much the intangible elements that we'd already been speaking to, and that did, as you said, came up numerous times and throughout was a theme throughout. But I think that just kind of seemed to sum it up very well. But one of the things I wanted to ask you as well was if you could give one piece of advice to a client when talking about if you've got a role, you're going to be working with them, and you're talking about employer branding, what do you think one piece of advice would be that you would give?
I think to be authentic, okay, to ensure that authenticity, because if you showcase a culture that's not real, that's going to be seen through. So make sure that you're showcasing the real culture, the company, through unfiltered employee testimonials or reviews or content, and just keep that kind of continuity about being authentic through all of the processes, because they don't want the corporate message. They want the message that is the actual brand of the company, and people can just see through that otherwise.
Yeah, they don't want the shiny image, they want the reality.
Exactly. But I'm going to throw it right back at you, Jane. So what would be your one takeaway or one bit of advice that you could give?
I think one of the things that came up quite a few times, and I mean, we always talk to a client about having an efficient recruitment process, the need for timely interviews, good feedback, all of those kind of things that give that impression of a business throughout the process. But the other thing I think that people really need to focus on is good onboarding, and right from the point when an offer is accepted, keep in touch with that person, be ready and welcoming them on day one. Make sure everything is in place. You don't want someone sitting at a desk waiting 2 weeks for a laptop. Just all the wrong kind of impressions doesn't make you feel as welcome. You don't feel that you've really kind of bought into that business. Making sure that you're able to meet the key people that you'll be working with. So, I think that was something that came up that from all of those different sized businesses, the different industries throughout the whole discussion that came up. So for me, that was one thing that I think I would keep pushing.
Yeah, I would agree. And so at the moment, I believe marketing are actually pulling a report together. And this is not only going to be about what we discussed in Zurich. The same event happened in our London office. So it's going to be a report that's going to pull in the topics that were discussed from both offices. And I just think it's going to be really interesting to see that when it's produced, and just to see if their discussions aligned with ours, if there was anything different that came up that kind of might be interesting culturally, let's say, or from two different markets.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting, very interesting. But if anybody is interested in receiving a copy of the report, it can now be pre-ordered on the link in the comments below. So we're looking forward to sending that out to as many people as possible. But I think, Sarah, that pretty much wraps this LinkedIn Live up. Thank you very much for your time again. Let's see what happens over the next few months. There's going to be a lot to talk about in the next time we catch up like this. But in the meantime, have a good couple of months. Good luck with the employer of record, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks, Jane.
All right. Bye-bye.